when you equalize everything, it will be prone to abuse. People who sit in those procurement committees, and I know I come from a small village, and I want to impress my people in the village, I will make sure that that meeting will go to my village.
I think it's important that we look at this sector as one of the stabilizing factors, and mice is growing in Kenya.
Nakuru was conferred city status on 1st of December 2021. And with that, many people have invested heavily in Nakuru.
It says that the per diem, that simple review, will increase per diem in the country by 67%. We have gathered here as stakeholders in the tourism sector, drawn from the entire Nakuru County. Nakuru County has 11 sub-counties, and we consider tourism, especially maize tourism, as our cash crop and more a key economic pillar. After agriculture, tourism is the second largest earner of Nakuru GDP, and that's why it stands at a very critical position in the economy of this county. Tourism is driven mostly by the stakeholders, private stakeholders. And with me here today, we have investors in the tourism sector, mostly in hospitality, drawn from as far as Naivasha all the way to Molo. And we have come together to look at the status of tourism in Nakuru County and the future of tourism also in this county. And we have discussed so many things in our meeting, and one of the things that we would like to bring to the attention of the nation, and more so all the stakeholders in tourism, is that maize is one of the fastest growing aspect of tourism. Initially, it used to be what we call the B&B, the bush and the beach, where bushes, where national parks for reserves used to drive a lot of traffic in tourism, and then beaches along the coastline. But things have changed, and now what is pushing tourism is what we call MICE, the meetings, incentives, conferencing, and events or exhibitions. And that is what has made Nakuru be a key tourism destination. If you look at Naivasha, Gilgil, and Nakuru City in particular, 83% of our business is in MICE, where most of the organizations, whether corporate or government or non-governmental organization, they prefer this destination for their meetings. And this has really helped to grow this county and grow the revenue of this county, and also help us get good investors who have come to invest in Nakuru. If you look at the last 10 to 15 years, there has been a lot of growth in infrastructure, especially in hospitality, where all the major big hotels in Nakuru have come during this time. And most of them, if not all of them, depend solely on MICE. But there is one thing that we would like the nation to understand, that in MICE, people go for meetings in different areas based on different reasons. And most of the meetings that come to Nakuru, especially the whole of Nakuru, come here because of something we call categorization. This categorization is done by Salary Remuneration Commission. And this Salary Remuneration Commission gives or outlines what we call the daily subsistence allowance, or per diem, that will be given to any officer who attends a meeting, a MICE program in any area. And that's why they have categorized them into three. The Tier 1 or Cluster 1, which is for cities, Mombasa, Kisumu, Nairobi, and now Nakuru. Then we have Tier 2 or Cluster 2, which is for county headquarters, plus Malindi and Naivasha. And then we have all Cluster 3, which is all these other urban centers or towns. So the remuneration or per diem allowances are different in those categories based on the living standard and the infrastructure that has been put in those areas. Nakuru enjoys both Cluster 1 and Cluster 2. Cluster 1 in Nakuru City and Cluster 2 in Naivasha. And that's how tourism has been able to grow in this area. Naivasha used to be in Cluster 1. It was dropped to Cluster 2. We have been fighting with SRC to reinstate because there's a lot of investment that followed that categorization by SRC of Naivasha to Cluster 1. So when they were dropped to Cluster 2, they have seen effect of that. And we are still in discussion with SRC. But SRC now has sent a letter to our branch in Naivasha saying that they want to review the classification of per diems in all cities, towns, and villages in Kenya, because they do that for local and the international travel. They have not touched international travel. For example, if you go to Zambia, in the capital of Zambia, they will give you a particular allowance, and then when you go out, the allowance will drop by close to 40%. In Kenya, they want to make it uniform, that when you go to every part of the country, the per diem will be the same. It looks okay in the face of it, but we as stakeholders, and that's why we had this meeting, we have objected to it, because different places in this country have different infrastructure. Different places in this country have different living standards. For example, you'll find the way we pay our support staff here. For example, if it's housekeeping or if it's F&B service, you'll find that the minimum wage here will be 17,000 plus. But in another place, you'll be allowed to pay even 9,000. So if I am paying 17,000 plus here for a waiter or a waitress, and someone else in the village, in one village, is paying 9,000, then there is no equity at that point. That's why people who are coming here, because the standards are high and the costs of hosting one client for one simple day conference is different from the way you would host that client in a different place. That's why we insist that SRC should maintain the categorization. Even as we request them to upgrade Naivasha back to where it was, they should retain, so that we have more people coming to this place, going to Kisumu, going to Mombasa, because there is infrastructure for that. When you equalize everything, it will be prone to abuse. People who sit in those procurement committees, and I know I come from a small village, and I want to impress my people in the village, I will make sure that that meeting will go to my village. Not considering whether there's capacity, not considering whether it's safe, not considering the kind of service that you get there. That's why we are requesting SRC, as much as they have written to us seeking our advice and also our submission. We have written submission, and we address you today saying that is not the way to go. You will kill tourism the way we know it, because right now without mice, there is no tourism. Nakuru here, like this coming May, the month we are starting the other week, we'll be having the County of Assemblies Forum, close to 4,000 people. We'll be having Kenya Urban Forum, still in the same month, close to another 3,000 people. Then we shift. We have one international meeting coming end of June, close to 1,000 people. We shift to Safari Rally in Naivasha and part of Elementaita. That is an international activity, close to 10,000 people. All these people, they come to Nakuru, and what they consume, for example, the food stuff we cook in all these hotels, they come from our farms around here. And as you know, Nakuru is it's #1 producer of food in this country. So we support even the neighboring counties like Nyandarua and Laikipia and even Baringo here, because we get food stuff to feed all these people in this place. When you look at the transport sector, transporting all those people to Nakuru, 10,000 people in a week to Nakuru, then the transport sector is also gaining. The fuel industry is also gaining. So this may look like just a normal process in government, but it will have major effects. And if you look at that article from Business Daily, should have been of 20 to 24th or thereabout of last month. It says that the per diem, that simple review, will increase per diem in the country by 67%. So is it something that the government would like to do, to increase per diem when the economy is at this state to 67%? It's a question that I would like to pose.
Just to echo the words of our chairman and the whole committee, I'd like to say that Naivasha is very centrally, Naivasha and Nakuru as the county is very centrally located in this country. And as a result, even looking at the numbers, I think for SRC, it's a big saving for the government when meetings are held in a central location in the country. Apart from all the other points that we have, we believe that that's a good point to consider because it saves the government money when things are done in one place or in several places in the country, instead of saying that we can scatter it everywhere. I would also like to say that the MICE that is developing in Naivasha, Nakuru as a county is starting to attract international conferences, conventions, and meetings, which is very good for this country. As you know, we rely a lot on tourism. MICE is coming, and when all these people travel to Kenya to have these big conferences, let's say, for example, Microsoft comes to Kenya, they host their meetings in Nakuru, Naivasha, there are 5,000 people. These people will do their conference for about 3 days, and thereafter, they will do safaris that will take them to all parts of this country. And we think it is very important that we build this MICE destination. It is not just good for Naivasha. It is good for our foreign currency reserves, because as we know, we need a lot of it in this country so that we can stabilize our shilling against the dollar. I think it's important that we look at this sector as one of the stabilizing factors, and MICE is growing in Kenya. And what we'd like to ask SRC is to consider our request, because our request has merit. We have had discussions with them, and we truly believe they will consider this meritoriously, and we're very grateful.
The proposal by the SRC is going to greatly affect the businesses in Nakuru. Nakuru was conferred city status on 1st of December 2021. And with that, many people have invested heavily in Nakuru. And one of the implications is, as an investor, the question will be, then why come to Nakuru city? Why not go to Nyahururu or any other smaller towns and take my investment there? Because without the MICE, as the chair said, it means that we're going to have reduced investors coming to Nakuru. And remembering that Nakuru is one of the hubs for investors in the country. So we are urging SRC to seriously reconsider that proposal, and we are going to continue engaging further, because this is the beginning. It is not the end. We shall continue having these engagements because we are passionate about tourism, and we are passionate about also creating employment for our residents in Nakuru.